Hello, my name is Tommy Dankwa. Welcome to a 365 Good 24/7 Great Operation Estonia. I am doing a Q&A for the wonderful students of Lüllemäe School. Had a wonderful week with them and they've sent me some questions to answer. So I'm going to have a go and get through as many as possible and try to answer them as best as I can. And I hope that you all learn something from it. I hope that I learned something from it. All right, so without further ado, let's get straight into it. Here we go. Okay, question number one. Does mental health affect physical activity? Great question, straight off the bat. And in short, the answer is yes. Yes, it can. And there's a word for it. It's called psychosomatic. Okay, so when you experience mental health problems, you can also experience a whole range of physical symptoms as well. Muscle tension, headaches, insomnia, feelings of restlessness. Stress and anxiety can also cause migraines or IBS, which stands for irritable bowel syndrome. Very unpleasant, really uncomfortable, not a nice thing at all. Stress and trauma can also trigger autoimmune disorders such as psoriasis and also arthritis. So yeah, it really can affect your physical activity. Next question. How to start learning when there is no motivation? Oh, I like that one because that sort of flirts into mindset as well. So really good. So from a mindset perspective, I think to start learning when there's no motivation, it's about taking baby steps, you know. Apply the 10-minute rule. For example, if you want to start learning, rather than looking at the whole task, break it down. You know, you don't have to do the whole thing in one go. Set yourself a timer. Say 10 minutes, I'm going to focus on just reading and try to memorize a passage. Okay? And then when you've done that, reward yourself. Have 5 minutes just walking around or listening to your favorite song and then get back to it. Okay, once you start achieving small goals, you're going to feel more motivated, and that's all mindset. But if sometimes lack of motivation, that can come from a mental health problem. For example, if you are extremely anxious, you may sort of fall into the trap of wanting to be a perfectionist, and that way you feel scared that you might not complete the task to perfection. So it's quite challenging, but I think breaking things down into smaller steps, you know, step by step, and rewarding yourself, and then you'll find the motivation comes when you feel that sense of achievement. That's what I would say. All right, some really good questions. Oh, lovely. Next question is, what is the easiest mental disorder to cure? So this, I'd have to say, obviously no two people are the same. So it's quite difficult to kind of say, oh, this is the easiest, this is the easiest. But what I would say is specific phobias. Specific phobias are the easiest to cure. Now, these involve like intense and really irrational fears and avoidance of maybe an object or a situation. For example, spiders or dogs. So, and I've got experience of this because, you know, I had a phobia of spiders until my kids were born because my kids were scared and I had to get over that quite quickly. So there's ways of doing it. And I think a lot of like therapists, they'll do things like make you maybe draw a picture of the thing that you're scared of. Let's say spiders, for example. You draw a picture of a spider and you look at it and you might feel a bit uncomfortable looking at it, but you've drawn the picture. Going back to like the motivation thing, taking baby steps. Afterwards, your therapist might show you some photographs of a spider. Okay, so again, you've taken the next step and you've realised that actually the photograph hasn't hurt me. So you're realising that phobia's in your head. A few weeks down the line, he might show you a spider in a glass tank. And there it is. So bit by bit, you're getting more and more used to it. And this technique is used quite a lot. And I think there's a cure rate of about 85% in curing phobias like this. Okay. Lovely question. All right. When did you realise how important mental health is? Ooh. Wow, that's good. When was it? Well, I guess when I hit rock bottom. When I hit rock bottom and I realised that I didn't want to be here, that was probably the realisation that something needed to change and I needed to really get my head right. So yeah, I'd say rock bottom, because before that I was just trying to man up and I was putting how I was feeling down to working too hard or being tired, you know, everything else except for dealing with the problem. And yeah, I almost found out too late. And I think that this is why I love doing these talks and why this whole 365 Operation Estonia is so important, because I almost realised how important my mental health was too late, and I don't really want that to happen to anybody else. Great question. Okay. How many hours should you work out a day? Okay, yeah. How many hours should you work out a day? Well, again, depends on the individual. I think government sort of guidelines are 150 minutes a week. That works out to half an hour a day, so Monday to Friday. So if you can do half an hour exercise a day, then you're a really good starting point, okay? So 30 minutes a day, and exercise can be, you know, just a walk around the park. It doesn't have to be high intensity something. As long as you're being active, getting the blood pumping and, you know, getting some air going through your lungs, it's a really good way to start. So 30 minutes a day is what you should aim for, but, you know, sometimes you do a bit more, all right? We're throwing the physical questions in as well as the mental health. Wonderful. Okay. How to become and stay motivated. That's a reoccurring theme, this. Yeah, so again, you know, I said it earlier, doing it bit by bit, you know, every day. And do you know what? There's a really good book. It's called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, and he teaches you how doing a small bit every day, you know, has a snowball effect, and it really helps you to create really big sort of goals. And you know, going back to things all anchoring success, when you've done something right, give yourself a treat, give yourself a reward, and commit to doing it for maybe 30 days, because that's how you start forming habits. Okay, so a little bit each day. Don't overthink it. Don't, you know, try to, you know, don't look at the task in its entirety. Break it down into chunks. Okay, once you start achieving small bits, you're going to feel more motivated and you're going to be much more keen to carry on. All right. Next question. Why did you start talking and educating people about mental health? Lovely. Yeah, the truth is, I don't want anyone to ever feel as hopeless or as lost or as worthless as I once did. And I say that because I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. I really wouldn't. And I think the best way to help is through sharing my story, educating people through the 365 sessions, through the Man Up podcast. And yeah, I just think the more we talk about it, the more people are going to feel more comfortable. We're going to reduce stigmas, because there's still so many people out there that are suffering because they're scared to talk about it, or they don't know, you know, where to start, or they don't even fully understand why they're feeling like they are. So that's why I feel that this is my passion, this is my calling, and that's why I started doing this. Yeah. Okay. How much daily exercise is needed to keep your mental health strong? Okay, yeah, good. I can see that a theme, you know, theme is forming here. So again, yeah, like I said, no two people are the same. The sort of guidelines are the 150 minutes, you know, that's half an hour a day. And personally, I think that's a really great place to start. If you want to create mental fitness, mental resilience, you know, if you're not into exercising, you know, start there. Try for 30 minutes. And It's really good because exercise, it's amazing. It reduces endorphins. I call it the happy juice in your brain. So the endorphins, once you exercise, it just makes you feel better straight away. It reduces stress. It boosts your self-esteem and confidence. And, you know, it helps you well with sleep. If you exercise, it helps you with sleep. And I think that's one of the most underrated tools in helping you, you know, promote and take care of your mental health. So yeah, that's it. What are some good workout exercises to make you feel better? Yeah, I like that one. Any exercise, anything that gets your blood pumping, anything that gets you moving your body, anything that gets you taking some deep breaths, in my opinion, is good. Me personally, I love yoga, and I love yoga because it, you know, it really opens up your body physically. It's mentally as well. It's almost like a meditation as well while you're doing the exercise. So I love yoga. It's really, really good. Obviously boxing, Thai boxing, Queensberry Rules boxing. I think it's amazing. And I like that as well because if you're frustrated or feeling stressed or tension, you know, what do you want to do? You like to scream, you like to shout. Sometimes you want to punch something. Why not do it in a controlled environment where nobody's going to get hurt? You're not going to get in trouble for fighting. And, you know, it's just a really nice place to really blow off some steam. So boxing is probably one of my favourites. And also, like, walking outside in nature. It's amazing. If you've got like a park near you or some woods, trees, forests, take a walk outside because it is amazing. And if you don't love, you know, getting hot and sweaty, it's really easy to do. Everyone can do it. It's not, you know, highly strenuous, but it is really good. Walking is one of the best exercises actually out there. True story. Okay. Some really good question, guys. Thank you very much. What is the worst problem with mental health? What is the worst problem with mental health? I think you mean maybe what is the worst thing about having a mental health condition? And what is it? Oh, like in the movie, in the Batman movie, the Joker says, the worst part about having a mental illness is that people expect you to behave as if you don't. And you know, that's one thing. What is the worst thing? Again, for different people, it's different. A lot of the people that we've spoken to on the podcast have said that it's the stigma, it's the judgment, and it's the feeling of shame that they carry with them. Shame crops up a lot when people talk about their mental health conditions. So that's, you know, that's a real big one for a lot of people. For me personally, I'd say that, you know, suffering with my mental health, I feel like it stole a lot of time from me. You know, I was at my worst when my kids were really young. So I feel like I lost a lot of time that I could have been just enjoying them and being really present with them because I was feeling so bad. So that would probably be, for me, the worst thing about having a mental health condition. But, you know, I always say now, actually, my depression and my anxiety, probably the best thing that ever happened to me because it forced me to do a lot of learning, a lot of growing, to try to understand myself better and to really sort of work on becoming a better version of myself because I knew that I didn't want to stay at rock bottom. So, yeah, there's a negative to it, but it actually turned out to be one of the most positive things that ever happened to me, which may sound crazy, but it's true. Really good question. Thank you very much. What is the rarest mental health disorder? This is a really, really good question. I love this one. And I actually had to go through and, you know, double check this one. So there's a few. And one is called Stendhal's syndrome. Okay. And this is where you experience physical and emotional anxiety as well as panic attacks when you're surrounded by like art, beautiful art. So if you go to a museum or an art gallery, sorry, and you see these wonderful pieces of art, it can bring on panic attacks and stuff like that. So that's a real rare one. Antomophilia. It's a crazy one, right? It's a bizarre one. I might not pronounce that correctly, but it's when you have this really, really sort of unwavering desire to want to amputate a part of your body. So the person that's suffering with this condition might actually cause themselves harm, so that they can actually have a limb removed. So obviously these are very rare. Not many therapists will ever come across them in their life. That's how rare they are. But yeah, those are some of the rarest. I think there's about 5 or so, but I've given you 2. Otherwise, I'd be there all day. Next question. How long have you been dealing with these topics? Oh. How long now? Crikey. I think in a professional capacity, probably 3 years or so now. Yeah, 3 years or so. I've been doing the podcast, public speaking. But the education, the learning stuff, that's been going on for like years before, when I was sort of healing and in recovery. So maybe 5 years ago, I spoke to a life coach and she told me about something called the Miracle Morning. And that's when I started really on this journey of mental health, growth, learning and development. So yeah, say about 5 years. 5 years. Are my kids similar to me? Yeah, too similar. Absolutely too similar. They're total reprobates. I'd say they're probably a perfect blend between myself and my wife. But yes, so many similarities. Sometimes it's like arguing with mini-me's. So yeah, very, very similar. How did I feel giving this presentation to over 35 people? Ooh. Excited, nervous, a little bit of anxiety beforehand, mostly because computers and technology, are still quite new to me. And also I really wanted to give you a really informed talk and give as much information to you as possible. So, I wanted to give you tools to help you go forward, not just, in the next few weeks, but for the rest of your life. And so yeah, I felt quite nervous, but most of all, I felt proud. I felt really proud that I stepped out of my comfort zone and that I'd done this talk with you, and that hopefully you'd all taken something from it, and learned something, and that will serve you well in the future. So yeah, really, really good questions. Okay. How can you know when you have social anxiety, and is there any other way of curing it other than doing presentations? What most teachers say you should do? Ooh, good question. Yeah, social anxiety, it's more than just shyness. It doesn't just, it's not just fear. It's fear that doesn't go away. It's everyday activities, walking to school, communication, in your relationships, school life. And, even things like meeting strangers and stuff can be really, really overwhelming. So, what would I say? Study it. One of the best ways to get over something is learn about it. For example, you hear when people are ill and they don't know what's wrong, they feel terrible, it's not great. But when they get the diagnosis, you've got this disease or this disease, generally they feel better about it. So the more you know about it, the more you're going to find ways to, deal with it. And as with many forms of anxiety, meditation, relaxation techniques, breathing techniques can really, really help. Going back to the motivation thing, stuff like that, breaking things down into smaller tasks rather than, easy to say when you've got anxiety, because I know what it's like, you overthink everything. but try to break it down and just do one thing at a time rather than thinking about what you have to do further down the line. Okay, getting up and getting ready to walk out the door is a lot. So let's just focus on getting out of the door. Small steps. And, you know, doing the presentations and stuff like that, it does help because obviously, you know, it's conquering fear. But if you're, you know, with severe social anxiety, it's not always just as easy as saying, right, I'll do a presentation and it will get better. Try to break things down. Try to do the baby steps. Definitely the relaxation, the meditation, stuff like that will really help. But obviously as well, if it persists, see a doctor, talk about it, you know, share this with somebody because there are people out there that can help. All right. When you're happy most of the day, but feel sad and hopeless at night, does that mean that you have depression or is it something else? Ooh. Do you know what? That's a really, really good question. And yeah, and I mean, I've experienced this before, and it's called rumination. And basically what rumination is when you're busy during the day, your mind is switched on, you're working, you're at school, you're around people. It's, you know, your brain is active, so you don't have time. Obviously, when you go home at night and you're tired and you're in your bed, it's quiet, you start ruminating. You start thinking about things, trying to make sense of what's gone on. You know, replay things, trying to figure out different outcomes and stuff like that. So it's quite natural that, you know, this can cause, you know, so this is can fuel feelings of depression and anxiety. And yeah, it's obviously when you're alone at night, that's your thinking time, and especially if you're tired as well, it can really affect you. So no, it doesn't always mean that you're depressed, but rumination can definitely fuel, you know, the feeling of depression and make it worse at night when things are quiet, when you have time by yourself. Yeah. Next question. Do I know anyone who has depression? Yeah. Me. I've suffered with it. I still have wobbles every now and then. And obviously in my line of work, and as a, you know, in my role as a mental health first aider, and through the podcast, I've met many people who have experienced depression, both mild and severe. And, you know, also when I started my journey and I started talking and being honest about how I was feeling, so many people came and told me, oh, wow, you know, I didn't know you felt like that. Actually, I felt the same way too. And I felt like this. And yeah, I can relate to that. And a lot of these people were people that I was convinced had everything together. Their life was perfect. They were doing so well. They were on the outside, you know, living the life that I thought that I wanted. So it just goes to show that you never know what someone's going through, what someone's dealing with. So be kind. Be kind to everybody, all right? Really good questions. Right, what is next? Why did you have depression? Ooh. Yeah. Ooh, great question. Why did I have depression? Well, I hope you remember from the talk, we spoke about how hereditary, you know, your DNA, your genes. So there's definitely, there's been depression in my family. So that could have been one of the reasons why I had it. Trauma was another thing that I mentioned. And I grew up in an environment that wasn't ideal, a bit of a broken home, a bit of a dysfunction in my family. So that could really have, you know, been something that caused it later on in life. Also, I put a lot of pressure on myself to be better, to be perfect. I wanted to be a great husband, a great father. And like a lot of men out there, I thought that that meant earning lots of money. And, you know, so I'd working hard. And I guess, you know, all these things combined, I set myself up to fail because there's no such thing as being perfect for a start. So if you set that sort of level of, you know, goal in yourself, you're going to come unstuck. You're going to struggle. And as I was constantly chasing money and chasing the next best thing and trying to be more than I was, I was never in the moment. I was never present. I was always somewhere else in my mind. So, that's why, that's why it's called being in the present, because when you can be in the present, you start enjoying things. It's called the present because it's a gift. So yeah, I think that's why. Really good question, making me think. Okay, why did you start working with mental health issues? Simple, like I said before, because I don't want anyone ever to feel as hopeless as I did. And that's it, plain and simple. I want to work in here because I want to help as many people as possible and educate as many people as possible. Yeah. Where did you get the idea of working with teenagers? Ooh. So there's a saying, and I don't know who said it, but I read it once and I love it. And it simply says, be who you needed when you were younger. And I think I needed someone like me when I was younger. Someone sort of, at school you learn math, you learn science, English or Estonian. And it's getting a lot better now with your school, especially your school. I know your teacher's done some amazing work around mental health, but I needed that. And I don't just work with teenagers, through 365good247GREAT, it's working with everybody, no matter age, race, creed, whatever. It's for everyone. But 365 Good Operation Estonia came about because I spoke to many teachers and, parents, and a lot of them just said that during lockdown, the kids are struggling. And also, I heard an unofficial report of there's a rise in suicide attempts by young people in Estonia. And, it's due to the pandemic. It's challenging times. So I'm in a position now where I can do something good and I can try and help. And it would just be wrong for me to do it. The whole ethos of 365 Good 24/7 GREAT is that you do something good every day so that you feel great. And I feel absolutely great knowing that I'm doing some good. So that's where that came from. Lovely question. Right, I've only got a few more to go now. I'll say a few more. I think there's 5 or so. What is the best thing that you can do to have good mental health? Yes, great question. Invest in your wellness. And I don't mean invest financially putting money in. I mean, make time for yourself, exercise, eat well, get outside into nature, get enough sleep. Be aware of what you're consuming, like not just what you're physically eating. Yes, eat healthy, but mentally as well. If you're watching TV all day, Netflix binging, and then on the internet scrolling through Instagram, looking at what the Kardashians are doing, do you think that's going to have a positive effect on your mental health? Probably not, is it? Read a book, watch something that's going to work your brain, and, read some good stuff. It's amazing. Meditation, it's such an overlooked tool. I love meditation. It's so good. Write a journal, honestly. Speaking of that, I'd recommend, if you're looking for something, a book called The Miracle Morning by an author called Hal Elrod. And it's a really good way. The principle is you wake up a little bit early and you do certain things like journaling, affirmations, exercise, visualization. There's a few things, but it's just a really good way to start your day and bulletproof your mental health. And ultimately, and the most important thing, I said this at the talk, is talk about your feelings. Even if you're not feeling like you're on a slide, talk about your feelings. Let's start making it normal, because the more you talk about your feelings, the more open you are about it. It's like a really, really amazing way to continue and help you to feel good. So yeah, that's what I'd say. Invest in your wellness, okay? Make that a priority. Okay. Next question. Do I play video games? No, not personally. I don't play video games, but I am well educated in Minecraft and Fortnite due to having 2 young boys. So if you want to talk about like weather storms or the 0 point and stuff like that, then yes, come and talk to me. I will know what you're talking about. All right. Why did I come to Estonia? To do exactly what I'm doing right now. To bring 365good 247 great to Estonia and just focus on doing that and to focus on making people more aware of their wellness, try to make people feel as happy as possible or help them to feel as amazing as possible. And just by doing this, by just spreading awareness through wellness, fitness and awareness, because that's my passion. And I'm really fortunate to come here and actually be able to do that, having, you know, left a really busy lifestyle back in London. Yeah. Okay. How much do I work out every day? How much do I work out every day? I try for 30 minutes every day. Again, I do the miracle morning. So in that sort of hour that I wake up early, I try to put a nice bit of exercise in there. Walking, yoga. If it's nice in the summertime, a bike ride. So, but I also like to do like 3-hour sessions a week. So before COVID, I was teaching in Chergolina. I had a class there. So I was doing the perfect storm. It was amazing, which incorporates all the things that I showed you during our week together. And yeah, it's really good. So I try for, 30 minutes a day. But if I'm feeling particularly like I'm cloudy, if I'm maybe struggling a bit with my mental health, then I might try to get out and exercise a bit longer because I know that it works. And that's one of my go-to tools when I'm feeling, not amazing. If I'm at a 5 or a 6 rather than at a 8, a 9 or a 10, then I might, push the exercise a little bit more. Okay. Why did I start boxing? Oh yeah, good question. Why? Well, I always did martial arts when I was younger. My dad was really into martial arts and he used to make my sister and I train when we were really young, go on long runs and do karate together and stuff like that. And I used to watch boxing with my dad on TV because he used to like it as well. So I used to love watching boxing, Mike Tyson. And as a younger adult, I used to do Thai boxing with my wife. We used to do Thai boxing together and I loved it. But I had quite a bad back injury. So it meant doing more of the competitive Thai boxing training just wasn't happening for me. But I was still able to box, because it required less movement. And yeah, I love it. It's just such a good release, especially like, we mentioned if you, if you suffer from stress or anxiety and stuff like that, putting the gloves on and punching a punch bag and screaming, it's just such an amazing release. And, you walk out of the gym just feeling like the endorphins are going. Remember what I said earlier about endorphins and exercise? Yeah. So boxing I find is one of the best ways to really sort of get me back to feeling in tip-top condition. All right, okay, last question. We've gone through 27 questions. Right, before I answer this one, I just want to say, look, those are some really good questions, and thank you so much. I really enjoyed answering those. I hope you've enjoyed it. And let's go. Last question. Have I ever been bullied? No, I haven't. And not because I'm particularly tough. Actually, I never got bullied because I had a big sister who was really tough and she protected me a lot when I was younger. So I managed to be quite cheeky and get away with quite a lot because I had a bigger, older sister who took care of me. And yeah, so that is it. Lüllemäe School. Wow. Thank you so much for those questions. That was a Q&A with Tommy Dankwa. 365good 365good247GREAT. I've really enjoyed my time working with you. I hope you've enjoyed it as well, and I really look forward to seeing you again in the future. Thank you very much. See you later.